Can you hear me now? Okay, so we can go ahead. I'll my audio.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of VMTW, I want to welcome you all to the webinar program on the topic literacy and dynamics. The webinar, I just want to brief up a little about the VMTW, which is for women, established in 2008, is now 8 years of its existence. It has earned a place among the top 10 colleges, and Vignan brand is Dr. Laura Dayagar, an education even with evidence of attractive jobs for most of our students at undergraduate vision. We can to provide high quality academic training activities, research facilities, opportunities supported by the institution interaction aimed at promoting employability, entrepreneurship, leadership among students, and to contribute economic and technological development. Vignan has become the biggest hub of technical education, setting a benchmarks which other institutions can think in only dream of Vignan is not only the part of education, but also shows its focus on cultural events and organizing a webinar programs and conferences. So now once again I welcome you all for this webinar program. So with the support of our principal sir, okay. So 30 years of undergraduate and postgraduate teaching experience at the university and 7 years in private colleges. A research area like 31 years of pursuing research and 24 years of research supervision, where 13 PhD and 12 MPhil scholars guided. And ma'am even worked on three research projects sponsored by UGC grant and received an international experience, visited 15 countries on academic and other assignments, and even academic engagements like in Swayam and YouTube programs like IIT Kanpur and Impact Foundation, and preparation of study materials for Rajiv Gandhi University, and publications around 47 books and 52 articles in national and international journals, and presentation at 34 at national seminars and workshops and 4 at international seminars, an examiner for PhD examiners in many of the universities, and academic other bodies like life member of Indian Society of Commonwealth Studies at New Delhi, and guest faculty at different colleges like Rajiv Gandhi University and Vivekananda University and many other more. So today we are very fortunate enough to listen to the words of Professor Dr. Smruti Roy. I welcome you, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible now,
Yes, ma'am.
because much of what you said was not audible. So maybe you can check up from the audience also. Uh, they are able to hear what is happening here.
Okay.
I would
It is
first
audible,
like
ma'am. It is
to
audible.
thank you, the
It's
organizers.
Yes, ma'am, it is audible.
Yeah, it's audible, ma'am.
I would also request all the participants who have joined to keep their audios and videos mute. This is what we call as digital etiquette. Digital etiquette would imply that except those who are speaking, one or two people, the rest should keep their audio and video mute. The other day in a webinar, somebody was combing their hair, long, beautiful hair, which was visible to everybody, 250 participants. Somebody else was without wearing the top cloth. The child was playing with the computer, visible to all 200, 300 participants. So today when I thought about talking to you about digital literacy, I thought I should mention this, that apart from being English speakers, we are also people who talk a lot about soft skills, and etiquette is an important skill. Therefore, at any point of time, if you can't see or hear me, please send in the chat box. If you can hear somebody else and see somebody else, also give a warning to the organizers. They will take care of it, because the digital platform for us is something very new. At least for me, it's absolutely new. But my old age, you can see that I'm learning how to use this digital platform for the last 2, 3 months after lockdown started. So this is a new reality. That is why when Susan approached me, I gave this topic: digital literacy and improving our classroom dynamics. Now, what is the traditional classroom which we have? The traditional classroom is one where there is a building, there are tables, there is blackboard, there is a teacher, what we call as the chalk and talk method. This is popular. We are all chalk and talk teachers till now. Now suddenly we are not able to access the physical presence of our students. So how is your classroom going to change? This is something which you need to talk about. You need to experiment, and you need to help out each other. For instance, for today's program, we have, we had a curtain raiser yesterday. I had a lot of difficulty, and I was told how to manage this by these youngsters who are organizing the program. So age has nothing to do with it. Qualifications have nothing to do with it. Experience has nothing to do with it. We need to have what we call as digital literacy. It's a different kind of literacy. Usually, when we talk about literacy, we talk about the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. This is how it was told when we started our school. If you know how to read, write, and do your maths, that means you are literate. But now, digital literacy is a different thing. In digital literacy, we are talking about the 3 R's in a different way. So I have been telling this, you can substitute some other R's with your own creativity. I'm just sharing with you what are the 3 R's I thought of: realign, restructure, and rejuvenate. I thought these 3 R's we could use when we are acquiring digital literacy. I will tell you a lot about the 3 R's, but let us first talk about the transition. What is it that we need to do to make the transition from the traditional classroom to the digital classroom? This is the online course which we are being expected more and more to participate in. So let us look at this first before we come to the aspect of digital literacy. So the first thing I would like to remind you is that in the traditional method, the classroom implied a lecture first, a student interaction. Students would ask questions, you would answer them, they would raise their hands possibly, and you would ask them to tell you. If there was no time, you would say not today, some other day, because tomorrow again you would go back to the same class. This is how we were running the traditional classroom. You would give an assignment and they would submit the assignment to you physically on paper, and you would evaluate and return those papers to them. You would ask them to make oral presentations in the class. You would be present and you would evaluate them, tell them the feedback very clearly at the end of the course. In all this, you can see that physical distance, physical closeness is very important. Now, compare this to your other activities as teachers, researchers, etc. You used to write for a research journal, an article you would write, you would send it maybe by the snail mail, the traditional post, and it would get published in a real book, not an e-journal. All these e-aspects, online aspects, are the digital aspects. So I'm just comparing this older version to a newer version which we are coming to. This has happened for a long time. It's not something new. I remember we started this online course recording in 2011. EFL University was given the responsibility of doing something called CEC, Consortium of Educational Communication. You can search for CEC online. You will find all those lessons which we prepared. The English teachers would like to see general English and English literature. These are online courses. As coordinator, I was given the responsibility. Although I belong to Osmania University, my friends are all there. At that time, Vice Chancellor was known to me. So he or she, all of them would take our help to form these. Today, if you search for CEC, you will find all these online lectures. A script was prepared, the video was recorded, and we put it online. But that was a very, very small percentage. A few students would see it. Just now, you heard about YouTube videos. Whenever I speak, somebody records and puts it on YouTube. It has a large number of people who see it. Again, it's an online platform. So there are great advantages in this transition. In our classroom, we might have 50 to 100 students at the maximum. In the online portal, when you record and you put a lesson, you might have thousands or you might have millions. So your reach has become that much bigger. You can imagine that you are reaching out to a larger audience. So as teachers, I think we have a social duty, and therefore we adapt this digital platform for better teaching. You can also have, the webinar, as you heard just now. You can also have real-time seminars where 50 to 100 people gather in a big hall, they present their papers, and there is a lot of discussion, all in the physical presence of everybody. Now, I know that many of you are there today. The organizers told me a huge number. I'm sure many of you must have joined and you're listening to me, but I can't see any of you. Can you see the problem with the use which we have become to the digital, to the traditional form? I would like my audience to be in front of me. You are not there. I'm looking at my own camera and speaking to you as though that camera eye is the eye of all of you. I'm imagining that all of you are paying attention. So these aspects, one by one, the traditional, which you already have experience of, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe a few months. I don't know all of you, so I cannot tell you how much experience you have. But with all your experience, I'm sure you are familiar with the form which we call as the traditional. Now, how can we improve on the traditional form, keeping the structure of the classroom in our mind? That the classroom is a place for learning, a classroom is a place for sharing, and you acquire knowledge, you appear for examinations, you get a degree which you use in real life in order to earn your living, in order to make a mark in society. So the aim of education remains the same. The aim of the classroom remains the same. What changes is the format in which you are going to use this classroom. I hope that is the introduction which I wanted to give, which I hope all of you have clearly got. Now let me come to that aspect, and that is the digital literacy aspect. I will give you lots of examples in comparison after talking to you about digital literacy. Let me spend a few minutes on digital literacy. Then I will talk to you about how the traditional and the digital have their own advantages and disadvantages. We cannot rule out traditional. We cannot rule out digital. We cannot say, I want to choose one. Now you have to choose both, and you have to be proficient in both. Therefore, we have to be very clear about what exactly is this digital literacy. If you remember, I started by telling you that we have something called as digital etiquette. So this digital etiquette would imply that we know when to use which button. We become digitally familiar with all these. Each day or each week, I use a different mode of meeting. I'm not using the same thing. So for each mode, we need to learn how it should be done. You as youngsters, I'm sure, are able to do much better. I'm assuming the audience is in their 30s, 40s, etc. So you have a much better hold on this than a person who is a retired person like me. Therefore, for you, learning becomes that much easier. That is why I said, let us keep these 3 R's in mind. Now, what is the first R I mentioned? Realign. Realign would mean to change our opinion. Now, if you change your opinion, it would mean that you would see the advantages of the change. Change management is a very significant topic which we need to teach our students today. A person who's able to change is a person who reaches success. If you are unable to change, if you feel that you are not capable of changing or you are very rigid, inflexible, etc., that means you are not going to be very successful. Numerous articles are now coming on why online classes are a great disadvantage or online classes are a great advantage. See, both the opinions are there. Online classes good, online classes not good. So now we have to be able to change. We say that we are not going to go into online classes completely, but we will certainly try the online class as one method of teaching. Now, it is not necessary that we should only stick to the traditional method or we should completely become digital. So this is the first R, that is realign. We realign, we change our opinion, we become flexible. We don't say no to anything. We agree that yes, this can be explored. Once we explore, we try our best, we fail, we say, okay, we failed. That is realign. That is the first of the R's. So the second R is restructure. Restructure would mean that you organize differently. I gave you so many differences when I was talking about the traditional classroom. I'm sure most of you are engaged in online teaching now. How did you feel the first time when we were recording? There was something called Jawahar Knowledge Center. This was for engineering colleges long back when I was a very young teacher. So they said you come to the studio and you teach grammar in such a way that we record that grammar lesson and make a video out of it. So they would give us the board, the chalk piece, everything, and they said, "Don't turn towards the board and write." And then we started recording. It was such a strange experience because we are used to teaching grammar to a big group of people. We are not used to this. Slowly, over the past 20 years, this online thing has become, the recorded version, not the live version. Now we have come to digital literacy, which is live. I'm speaking to you just now. You're listening to me just now. But I don't know where you are. You don't know where I am. We don't know each other, but we are connecting with our ideas. We are connecting in such a way that we can share our ideas and make the classroom much better. So these are the two R's, that is realign and restructure. Now we come to the third R, which is so important, and that is rejuvenate. Rejuvenate is to make more vital. Suppose your digital classroom is something which is like a dead, so boring, then nobody is going to take it. I don't know how I'm coming across. Some of you might be listening. If you are not listening and you're doing something else, there is no way I can check it out. In a classroom, the teacher has full control on the student's attention. Still, we find it difficult. We keep checking. Are you listening? Are you listening? And so on. But what about your online class? Some student has joined, and then that student is, all around his house or her house, not really sitting in front of the camera or listening to your lecture. There is some student who don't join at all. You can make out they didn't join because there is a button for that. Therefore, what we need to do is we need to transfer the responsibility of learning to the learner. Till now, in the traditional form, the responsibility of learning was largely the students. I mean, largely the teachers. The teacher would feel very happy by saying, my students have performed well. My students have done so well. Now, here you cannot do that because you don't have access to your students' physical or, non-verbal communication. You can't look at their body language and say, they are listening to me, they are writing down notes, they are questioning me, and so on. Therefore, it's a big problem for us as to how to make this very vital, how to use this platform in a way that rejuvenates education. Make it in such a way that the digital platform is a platform which supplements, which complements your traditional classroom. Make your digital classroom in such a way that the students will love to come to the class and they will say, let us have 50% digital and only 50% traditional. Now they are saying 20% digital and 80% traditional. A day will come gradually when we might be moving into more and more digital. So keep these three ideas in mind: realign, restructure, and rejuvenate. Think of all the possible R's which you can say, so to speak, R's of digital literacy. These 3 R's of digital literacy, when we talk about, we should immediately try to now see what are the things which we can do in the digital classroom. Now, using digital literacy would imply that your students have the basic requirement. This is a big problem in our country because many of our students cannot afford the computer or the smartphone, Wi-Fi connection, or any of those things. You can imagine that there are many here. So that is why, before talking about only about the 3 R's of digital literacy, I mentioned that digital literacy is important. But is it accessible? This is a question which we need to ask. So for improving our online classes, we need to first ensure access. How are you going to ensure access? I would leave to the creativity of our participants. I hope each of you will come up with a wonderful manner in which it is possible for them all to access it. You have students who have 3, 4 varieties. They have a tab, they have a computer, they have a smartphone. One person with 3 possibilities of access. There's another person who doesn't have an access. So we give them values like sharing. We give them values like participation with responsibility. So in addition to teaching English, in addition to teaching them language and literature, we are also teaching them how to become better human beings, how to learn values. English teachers have always been people who have been teaching values. The digital platform brings in new values. Very often, we have to keep reminding them of these values. You will find that it becomes like a teamwork. Getting access is the first point where you have a lot of teamwork. Physical distancing, but working in teams. Can you imagine how creative that is? 21st century is the age of creativity. Unless we are creative, we cannot survive in this century. Therefore, we need to train our students to be extremely creative. And they themselves will give you many ideas how 100% access can be given. So the first point is access. Second point I've mentioned very often, and that is to give the learner the responsibility. Here I can tell you a story. It's an interesting story which the saint Sri Ramakrishna used to tell very often. That a student went to the teacher. Those I'm talking about the Gurukul days where the student used to live with the teacher. So the student goes and says, I want to learn. The teacher says, okay, fine, you get admitted, you stay here. But the teacher does not teach anything. The student gets impatient by saying, what kind of a teacher is this? Not teaching me anything? One day, the teacher says, let's go for a bath in the river. Usually in India, what we do is whenever we do anything good, whenever we are starting something, we have a bath. So the student is quite excited, saying, oh, today my course is beginning because we are going for a bath. But as soon as they get into the river, the teacher catches hold of the student's neck and pushes him under the water. The student gets extremely frightened, extremely agitated, and starts struggling, saying, leave me, leave me, leave me. Finally, when the student can't breathe anymore, the teacher lets him go and says, how did you feel? He says, oh, I felt terrible. I felt I couldn't breathe. I felt I would die. The teacher says that when you feel like that about knowledge and education, you will get it. Can you get this point? The student takes, the onus is on the student. You cannot force the student to learn. which our traditional system has been doing. The child is crying, we drag the child to school. The child doesn't want to study anymore, we put the child for higher education. The basic education is very important for 100% people in our country. But after the basic education, the higher education should be for the chosen few, people who want to make use of higher education. One day, I got into an auto where a student whom I taught some time was the driver. He says, "Madam, do you recognize me?" I said, "No, I don't, but I'm happy that you are doing something. What did you do?" This boy says, "I had such economic problems that even after doing MSc, I could not wait for a job or could not get a job. I had to start driving an auto and earning money for myself and my family." This is called underemployment. So we are doing this underemployment thing because we are compelling people to take degrees. People are doing PhD because they feel PhD is a gateway to something higher. But when they do PhD in English and then they write a mail saying, "I cannot speak good English" or "I cannot write good English," I feel very sad. I feel that the students from childhood have not taken charge of their own education. So, to improve your digital literacy, please keep this in mind, that your classroom, which is teaching you these digital skills, should be a classroom where every student comes because he or she wants to learn. It is not because it is compulsory and attendance has to be 75%, therefore they come, they don't pay attention, they get bored, and so on. Real education comes with a total involvement. This the digital platform is able to give us. So when we are talking about digital literacy to help our classrooms, please keep in mind that your digital literacy will be something which will help you in such a way that you will be able to put this kind of a teamwork between the student and the teacher. The student is going to participate. The teacher is also going to participate. It is going to be a 50-50 equation, not 100% teacher teaching and 0% student paying attention. That is not what we are looking for. Therefore, keep this idea in mind, that the digital platform has given us a great variety of scope to improve our own classroom experience. Once the student is used to the digital platform, that student comes with a lot of help as far as the physical classroom is concerned. That student comes with a desire to learn. And this you find a change which has come, and your classroom experience improves much. Give a lot of scope to your students to participate. This is what the digital platform does. Just by switching on and switching off our audio video, we are able to all participate even if there are 100 students attending your class. So every student has access to you, direct access to you as the teacher, which might not be possible in a large class. The people who are sitting at the back are doing their own thing. The first benchers are the ones who are paying some attention. So this doesn't happen. Here you are available to every one of them. Therefore, that is a great improvement in your digital classroom. Digital literacy, improving your classroom experience, would mean that you are able to share with everybody. Now, the digital platform also gives you abilities to have group discussions, abilities to have interaction, chat groups, exchange ideas, exchange write-ups, all these possibilities which are not really available in the classroom, because in the classroom you just have that 1 hour. Here, if you put it on the digital platform, suppose you write a small thing, one of the participants writes, all the others can read it in their time. It is not necessarily limited time. it is the real time of the reader or the listener. This can really be done, and people who are recording it can replay again and again, and they can hear. So these are all advantages. Of course, today the smartphone has brought, many students coming to class and saying we will record the lecture. Some teachers used to allow, some used to not allow. Right from the beginning of my career in the university, I remember students who cannot see would often record. There was those, big type of recorders in those days, because they would listen to the lectures again at home and prepare for the exam. That was not possible for them to go to the library and read a book or do reference, etc., because they could not access these visual medium. But for them, the digital medium is wonderful. You can access, you can hear, possibly except the keyboard chat, which also they have varieties, everything else is possible. So now it is up to each teacher to make the best use of the digital platform so that your classroom experience, all of you have the classroom experience. The dynamics in the classroom you are aware of. Even if you are a new teacher, you have taught only for one semester, that one semester is so many classes, 15 weeks of possibly 5, 6 classes. So you can easily have so many hours of experience. Try to analyze that experience. Try to interpret that experience and superimpose it into the digital platform. So when you are talking about ability, I spoke to you about access, I spoke to you about responsibility. Now let us talk about ability. Students of English or teachers of English very often did not know how to use these technological things. It was very difficult. When we were students, we never had a computer. Till my PhD, I did everything on a typewriter. In a typewriter, if there's one mistake on one page, you have to rewrite the whole 200 pages because you cannot really correct. So computers have given us great advantage. Technology is a great help for us. We should use technology to our advantage, not become slaves of technology, but know how to use it for our benefit. So are your students able to do all the things? Do they know the keyboard? Do they know the mouse? Do they know how to, do Word, Excel, all those things? Photoshop is very important for English students because many of them become creative artists, many of them become writers, where these things are important. Technical writing, etc. If you know many of these things, they are beneficial. So in our classroom, we need to inculcate these skills also. Apart from teaching the syllabus, we have something larger. I'm sure as English teachers, all of you know that there is a difference between the syllabus and the curriculum. So when we talk about the syllabus, it is the texts, the topics which we have to teach. Curriculum is the larger idea. Curriculum is the ideal of this course. So when we teach English, what do we want? In engineering colleges, since this is an engineering college, I'm sure many of you attending must be teaching in engineering. What is the requirement of English? The requirement of English is that if to supplement their technical subjects, to get a good job, to retain a good position, to succeed in their career, in their social life, etc., they require this language. English has become much more important in the digital age, that is 2020. Globalization made English very important. Apart from that, now COVID has made English more important, because what are we going to communicate with each other? In which language are we going to communicate? If you write in your mother tongue, or if you write in any of our languages, which are wonderful languages, no doubt, it will have a small group who are able to access. Not many people will be able to access this. But if you have a language, which has a larger reach, and that is English, it is good. So, all the more reason for you to concentrate on making your students capable of English using this digital platform. Now, there are so many online resources available. Some students say that we would like to learn British English or we would like to learn American English. My English is Indian English. It's not either British or American. When I speak in another country, I mention to them that, what I speak is Indian English. But Indian English has acceptability everywhere. It is also comprehended everywhere. If we speak very fast, maybe not, but if we speak slowly, yes. So if my student wants to learn something which I don't know or I cannot sustain, I might be able to speak one or two sentences in a different accent, but not continuously. Then what do? I tell them to go to the online resources. Can you see how digital literacy is enhancing my job as a teacher? So the classroom dynamics are not necessarily limited to your classroom now. The classroom dynamics have become an entire world order. This also gives the students a lot of scope for practice. We often in the English classroom, we used to make them do what is called as role play. I'm sure many of you, especially in engineering colleges, have this concept of role play. Now, when we are talking about role play, suppose you record it. This is the age of short films. I'm sure most of you must have seen hundreds of short films. What I noticed is that the short films might be very artistic, that acting must be excellent, the photography wonderful, but the final message which they try to communicate is very diffuse. The message is not a powerful message which people require at this point of time. I have heard thousands of stories of people getting depressed. This is an opportunity to sit and think, to make yourself better, not to get depressed. Why are our students getting depressed? Because we never gave them training for an all-round development. So the digital platform is giving them this platform. They have access to all this. They should know how to use this access. So there are 5 points which they have to keep in mind when they are going to use this digital literacy. I will speak about this then a little bit in conclusion. The 5 requirements are, first is to find whatever resources you require on the digital platform. Today's organizers found this excellent meeting platform. Some others are using some other meeting tools. Everybody is using a different one. How did they do? They first found what are the tools available. Then evaluate. Number 2. First one is find. Second is evaluate. You're looking for a topic. You're looking for English. So you will find so many thousands of pages on it. So you have to evaluate. What is it I require out of English? So then we read it out. Then you organize. Suppose you found 3 or 4 things which are very relevant to whatever you need from the online resources. Put them in order. Have some logic. Organize it. So find first, evaluate second, organize. Once you have done all these, the next 2 are very vital. That is, create and communicate. This is the point I was telling you about role play. Now, create. Make your students look at one of the texts which you're teaching or one of the situations in their life or around them, real life experiences. Prepare a play, record it, put it on your college portal or put it on a public portal. Thousands and thousands of others will see it and be inspired. Create, communicate. Create depends on your effort, the effort of your students in this digital classroom. Give them assignments like survey. You know, do a survey of 100 people online to find out whether they like online classes. Do a survey of people how they feel when they are not able to go out, they're not able to go to college. Like that, you give assignments, you will find startling results. You will find total involvement of your students. The process is creative because they are thinking, hopefully in English. They are writing a questionnaire, again in English. They are preparing a report of the survey which they conducted, again in English. People who are attempting the survey, answering the survey, again in English. So you can imagine how everything is happening. The language is getting strengthened because as English teachers, that is our job, to strengthen the language. And we are also giving them creative activities to enhance the real-time language. I'm sure all language teachers know that if you teach the full book of grammar to a student and the student knows 100% grammar, that student might still write wrong English or speak wrong English. Although they know grammar, they don't translate into real experience. So it is up to you to give them real context to practice. Practice is more important. Grammar, vocabulary, etc. are the foundation. You know, the foundation is not visible in a building. Only the stories, the rooms, the houses are visible. The foundation is hidden. So your knowledge of English language is the foundation. Built on that, this creative dimension, which is much more powerful on the digital platform. We could not do so much creativity and in our physical classroom as we are able to do in the digital classroom. So I would like each of us who are attending today, each of us who are participating today, to at least think of one creative activity and share with the students, request students to get back to you as soon as they have done this. Sitting in a room, they can all, make some small jingles on vocabulary items or on grammar items. They are each in their room. They record it separately. They put it all together, edit it, and then you have a whole participation, not meeting anybody, no need to wear a mask and meet anybody. Sit in your own room, record it, share it with your friends. Somebody is good. Our engineering students are very good at techniques. So they use technology, they put it together. You have a creative output from your students. Teachers themselves as teams can create many things. Suppose you do, we used to do very often in the 80s and 90s what was called team teaching. One topic, 2 or 3 teachers go to the class, have a discussion. From the discussion, the students also participate and it becomes, the lesson is completed, but not by the lecture method. So this kind of team teaching also, sitting in your own house, using these meeting formats, you can prepare this video. Again, take help of technical people. Maybe English teachers might not be technically very sound. Of course, I don't know. You all must be better than me. Prepare a format, prepare a whole video out of this and share it on WhatsApp or on, any of the social media forms with all your friends. Ask them for their comments. Now see how much English is getting practiced. You are preparing, they are commenting, you are replying, everybody is analyzing. Constantly we are providing creative platform. Number 4 is create. First is find, then is evaluate, then organize. Those are mechanical. Now create is most important. For your dynamic classroom, for your classroom which is really interesting, which is getting the result of teaching your students excellent English, speaking excellent English, writing excellent English. Things are skills for their lifetime success. You have to use this creative tool. And the last of the 5 is communicate. As teachers of English, we know how important is communication. Communication is sharing. I'm sharing my ideas with you. Now, if you were not there, my ideas would just remain in my head. I would feel so sad that I have nobody to share them with. So, human instinct is to communicate. We love to communicate. But here, as a good English teacher, we need to communicate in perfectly correct English, because some mistakes which are, mistakes of a geographic region, like we say, postpone, antonym, prepone. Now, prepone is an Indianism. We don't use prepone in English of other places than India. The word is advance. So we should know both. Suppose you say advance and students don't understand, because advance has another antonym, retreat. Advance, move forward, retreat, move back physically. But postpone is to put back the date, advance is to put the date forward. These kind of things we need to learn. As teachers of English, we are constantly learning. After teaching 40 years, for 40 years I've been teaching English. I cannot say my English is perfect. I cannot say that, okay, I have learned everything. Every day we learn something new. So this learning experience for the teacher, excellent, perfect English. For the student, excellent, perfect English. In independent, real-time situations, real life contexts. That is the aim of our teaching. Therefore, communicate, the fifth part, becomes most important. All these, if we keep in mind, digital literacy, I gave you the 3 R's, then I gave you the 5 requirements of digital literacy. Then we have to now start innovating. Now, what exactly are we going to do? For instance, many of your students might be good at creative writing. I find that, after lockdown, many people are writing a few lines of poetry and sending it across, saying, see, I wrote a poem today. Very creative. Some people are singing. All of you must have seen or heard The Sound of Music, very famous movie of our childhood, full of songs. You will find that the songs of Sound of Music have been adapted to suit the corona situation. Don't go out, don't, go without a mask, always wash your hands. All these ideas put very beautifully, very creatively in a song form. Many such things are happening. Many Hindi film song tunes have been used for Hindi. But since we are not Hindi teachers, I'm not telling you about those. What I'm telling you is that there are many possibilities. Now, each of us, suppose I only have one head. Suppose 100, 200, 300 are attending today, then we have 300 heads present here. Can you imagine 300 ideas will come out of all of you? And please say that these ideas which came to you are now the common property of the entire group. If you have an idea, keep in touch with this entire group through the organizers, make small units and say that, okay, we will do this. If I'm telling this to all the groups of teachers I'm meeting, maybe once or twice every week. And you can imagine, if all of us English teachers start being so, creative, thinking about what we can do, then we have to share it with each other, create and communicate. I told you the last two. Then there'll be a huge resource, a digital resource of good English learning. A child who's very poor and cannot come to your good colleges can access your digital resource and learn English. So we are serving society also. Remember that when NAC comes for accreditation, there's one column called outreach. This is your outreach. Your college on the college portal is giving free classes for English. Those are the recorded things which you have prepared. And that is your social outreach. Tomorrow, if you're going for accreditation, you show that, see how many thousands have accessed. This is our social outreach. We don't know who is learning. We don't know who is accessing, but we are doing. So each one of us has a capability. The capability is threefold. First is we evaluate our own English. Second is we evaluate the English of our students. Third, we make our English better and better, like Tennyson's poem, where he says, experience is an arch where through you see unknown lands. So today I think I'm excellent, tomorrow slightly better, the day after slightly better. So the grading of excellence keeps moving. Each of us has to do it. So first evaluate ourselves, second evaluate student, third enrich ourselves, fourth enrich the student. If these four things we can do using the digital platform as a supplement for our traditional classroom, then the classroom becomes extremely dynamic. And after a time, we forget this, that we are only able to teach in the traditional classroom. We are only able to teach in the digital classroom. We don't have this divide. They merge into each other. And this kind of a merging increases our skills. And that is why we need to explore them. Mine is not to tell you how to do it. My only job was to make you think. If I have succeeded in this 1 hour to make you think, I have succeeded in my job. But if you only think and don't do, then again, the failure is mine. Please understand, I'm not failing any of you. I'm giving myself 0 marks. Nothing comes out of it. The moment you get something out of it, the moment some student somewhere in any part of the world benefits, it is great. Just before your session started, I received a mail from Canada. Some lady who's staying in Canada wrote to me saying, my English is very poor. Can you please help? Now, there is no way I can go to Canada and help her. You can understand. The only thing I have is technology. I can reply to her mail. Another lady just yesterday said, I'm an English teacher, but I teach in a rural context. I don't have the ability to share all my knowledge because I'm a PhD already. What should I do? I suggest digital platform. Even if you're in a rural area where you have enough connectivity to send me a mail, please use this digital platform to reach wider and wider. You will feel your life becoming more meaningful. You will feel as though great resources are coming out of your creative brain and it is benefiting some millions of people. Recently, those impact videos, the organizers told me 8 million people have seen your video, madam. I don't know any of those 8 million. Some of them write mails. I get thousands of mails. Then what can I do? I cannot reply to all of them. I cannot teach English to all of them. I just give them some direction. I say, oh, all of you will learn. Don't worry. That is only motivation. So what my idea was that I would like all of you as traditional teachers of the chalk and talk, the classroom, to transition into the digital mode without any problems. This transition should be smooth and you should feel that you are equally proficient at both. If you can do this and use the digital platform more and more to teach students who don't necessarily come to you in the college, then I think my job is done. Now the time is 12 o'clock. I said I would end at 12. So I hope I have said enough. You have some time now for questions you can ask, comments if you feel like giving, some suggestions to all the team which is collected here. Hundreds of people must be listening. So all of you can give your views, your opinions. You've heard me communicating. I would love to hear you communicating now, giving my voice a rest. Thank you. Ah.
Any questions from the participant side?
Yes.
Hello.
I'm switching on my volume till I have to. My audio till I have to. Couple of people raised their hands when I was speaking, so ask them to ask.
Okay, ma'am.
Patil Sandeep, I can
Yes,
see.
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, please ask.
Yeah. Hello. I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely
Madam,
audible.
first of all, my good morning and wishes and congratulations for this wonderful lecture. And I would like to say it's my privilege. I'm your student actually, 2004 and 2006 batch, 14 and 16. Yes. I feel privileged to talk to you here once again on this digital platform. The problem actually, there are multiple platforms are available online, but for a teacher of English, fine, like me, it's difficult to choose. Like as you mentioned that you have to find out, and you already did that. Now today, when I'm opening this Microsoft page, there was a difficulty, so I had to join through the guest option. So teachers like me, they are not that I can say literate mostly. They are just now slowly says a transition time, like it's just 3 months, 90 days over in the this COVID pandemic situation, and people are just tuning slowly and gradually. Earlier we used to use WebEx and Zoom. Now that Google, this Microsoft Teams, there is some difficulty. So, how do you suggest for the teachers of English, not only teachers of English, any teacher who would like to use digital platform tools to make their teaching effectively? So, how to say there are so many are there now upcoming new versions are coming. So, in this regard, I want some kind of a suggestion.
Okay. Let me now remind you once more that experimenting is what we need to do at this point of time.
Yes.
Because unless we experiment, I can now see you, Sandeep, and I can remember that you were my student. Very happy to meet you. Uh, unless we experiment, we will not know because this is something new. It is not as though I told you in the beginning. I don't know whether you joined late or you joined on time. That we are all learning by experience.
Yes,
We are experimenting and finding which is good. That unless we experiment, we won't know. So, whichever college you are teaching in, try to begin by organizing a program. You know, once you start organizing, you will find that you keep trying one or the other. Each day, you try a new thing because you have your students who are the ready audience and you are the teacher, so you don't need anybody else to speak. Once you organize this, you experiment with all the available things. And then what you will find is that you have discovered something which is suitable to you. As you said, it started with Zoom, which it seems allows 100.
Yes.
But there is another Zoom, it seems, which allows 1,000. So somebody else, another of my students said, Madam, 100 is too less. More than 100 will come. We are going to another one. So that was called go thing I had to learn. Then there is something, Google that I had to learn. Then this is some Teams, which I had to learn yesterday. So like that, I'm able to learn because all of you are experimenting. See, I'm
Yes.
not doing much of experimenting because I don't have to take an online class now. Only if all of you invite me, I come and speak to you. Then the technicality also you tell me. Whereas for a younger teacher like you know, you have to know a lot of technology also.
Yes.
Because unless you know that technology, you will not know which of them is better suited for you. So start, Sandeep, start experimenting today itself.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you find a good one, share with everybody. In the audience, if there are anyone or, you know, somebody who has very good technical knowledge, keep in touch with Sandeep or whoever is asking the questions now. Because if we form a team, just not attend, but make, you know, what is called as networking. In seminars, we would do a lot of networking. Now you should network with people you have not met because they are all
Yes.
on the platform today, but they are not visible to you. So do those things. Sandeep, I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Some questions have come on the chat box. Huh. Speak, speak.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Questions on the chat box, please read them.
Acha.
I can see somebody, Mubin Sheikh. You want to ask a question?
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
ask.
Madam, first of all, I would like to thank you for your most informative and very good lecture on this topic. Initially, personally, I have faced this problem. I was a bit hesitant for this digital classroom initially. But later, what I found was the students, though they were hesitant initially for initial few classes, they have attended in large number. Later, they began to lose interest in this online. I come from mechanical department, ma'am, and in engineering, labs and practicals are also equally important. So unless and until they have some interface with practical, okay, they can't have everything on online. Means after every week or 10 days, we have to come face to face, and again we have to come online. That kind of time schedule we have to prepare for enhancing the quality of online classes to create the interest among the students. Means it should be a sandwich pattern like thing, madam. Means a bit of online, then again soon after that we should have a bit of practical or face to face interaction, so that will keep us binded. Means we will have a good rapport with the students, and the students will feel interested to come to the online classes also. They will give good attendance. Means whenever the university or the higher people who are responsible for what we say preparing the time schedule, they should prepare for not more than 10 to 15 days on the throat online, and then again let the students come to college, have physical interaction with the faculties, and perform some lab activities and submit their assignment. Again, to assure that the students are learning, we have to take some hard things like submitting of assignments or doing some paperwork. That I feel that that is also kind of must. And from now onwards, the universities has to think in a broader way of allotting some marks for the students the digital activities. Means the activities which they perform on this digital platform, uh, irrespective of the subject. Means they should introduce a kind of subject for them, a marketing or general subject on humanities, or on environment, or on marketing, or any other language also. Make them compulsory to go for. Means a German language or a Chinese language or a Japanese language should be made compulsory. Means one foreign language the student has to select, so that they will be compelled to go for online. And then I would like to thank you, madam, for a very nice and informative lecture for us. It has boosted us our confidence. And then Thank you, madam.
Very good suggestion. Now, and I'm very happy that other subjects also are attending. Any others who would like to ask question, please do.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Please speak. Please speak.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, good afternoon. Can you hear me,
Mic
ma'am?
is off. Good afternoon. I can hear you. My mic is off because you're speaking. Okay? Continue. Please continue.
Okay.
Tell me your name first.
Okay. What are the techniques we can use in the case of, primary children, ma'am? For higher secondary and college students, it's okay. For primary students, what techniques can we use, ma'am, for you to, concentrate more on this digital platform, ma'am?
Okay. I will give you an example, a real example now. This is about preschool. You know, when I visited Singapore, I went to a preschool. These children are just about 2 years or so. They are not even school going age. They were being taught English because English is not the mother tongue in Singapore. These children came there to learn English. Each one of them was sitting in front of a screen and watching some, cartoons or things like that, where it was English. They had headphones. So they would see these and they would learn English so that by the time they go to school, they are proficient in speaking English. Can you imagine? This is a real thing which I saw with my eyes. Not even small children who are in school already in primary or what. These are preschool children. And so that they don't suffer once they go to school to learn English. They don't know ABCD. They don't know how to write or read or anything. They just listen and they just speak. By the end of the year, this is a 1-year course for them. By the end of the year, the students are able to understand and speak English. So we have to be like that. That is why I told you that the creative dimension I'm leaving to you. If you are a teacher of that level, if you are teaching in school, remember that you can do a lot of creative activities. Now, what is so creative about this? You will understand when you meet a child of that age and think about it. Most of us teachers are extremely mechanical. We take the syllabus, we go and teach, and we don't think about either the student or the reason why we are teaching. This is not a correct way of teaching at all. The teacher's only role is to make the student life worthy, worthy of living life. This is what we don't do to our students. We say too much syllabus pressure, we get 90 marks, we feel happy. But the 90-mark student might be a misfit in society after growing up. So starting from school, and especially in school, a lot of importance should be given to making creative use to attend to the individual students. Please do not treat your students as a mass of people. Try to experiment, and then you will find that many ideas come from your mind. As you think, ideas come. Otherwise, ideas don't come at all. Therefore, I would like you to start thinking about this. Read up. A whole lot of literature is available online on how to use games in the classroom. You can always use these games, even for children who do not know the alphabet, even for children who have just learned the alphabet, they have not learned a sentence or a word. For all these people, there are so many online games. Don't use them exactly. Take the idea from them and then you devise on your own. Teachers are extremely creative. Only we are not using that creative gene. We are keeping it aside and using only the mechanical aspect. don't do that. Let us, take up some creative aspect. Now, the next person can ask. I'm switching off my mic.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible. Please speak.
Hello, ma'am. This is Shravani. Hello.
Shravani, happy to meet you.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, it was a very inspiring and liberating, and any of the words will be too less, to shoot up to, gear up actually, and would be loving to come on and on every day to your class. I am that very student to come every day, every night, every week, 24 into 7 to your class. I just wanted you to, since with your experience you've been doing with things with NAC, UGC, and all. I just wanted a little bit of enlightenment on the routine, like 15 minutes class, like we are having now online classes and all. So from the next, it will be scheduled routine. Now in a college, we have a physical routine kind of, but now here we'll be having this virtual class, like 50 minutes that have SEM4, SEM5, SEM3. Now, how does that routine, if you please throw some light on that, which will be not that stressful for the students and also for the teachers and for 24 subjects like with English and other. Little bit, if you with your experience, if you speak something. Thank you.
Okay. I understand the pressure is too much, both on the teachers and the students, because this is a slightly different situation today. Today's situation, I hope, will not last for very long. We will have, a better situation, a more open situation soon. As our friend Mubin Sheikh has mentioned very beautifully, that we should divide our traditional methods and our digital methods. That would be one. But now, since we are compelled for online classes, we should try to give a lot of responsibility to the student. You can interact with your own students on other social media also, telling them that, what is it that you feel? What did you learn today? Or how did you interact with, your mind and the knowledge which you acquired? Like that, put the ball in their court. As long as we are trying to take their responsibility also, that I will teach and I will ensure that they should learn, then they are becoming irresponsible. So we should not do that. What we should do is, we should allow them to take some of the responsibility. Even in an online class, suppose you tell them 1 week before or 2 days before, today I'm going to take this text, this class. You read up as much as you can about this text online. Now here, the teacher has, to be better than the student, because the teacher will also read the online material, the student will also read the online material. They already know. So you make your classroom very creative by asking them to interpret, and you interpret it yourself. With your maturity, your level, you will interpret it in such a way that your students will appreciate it. See, today I did not speak anything which all of you don't know. I'm sure all of you know. But every time I see on the screen, Madam, it was a nice lecture. Now, what was nice about it? I told you what all of you know. Only I told you by involving all of you. I wanted to throw the responsibility to you. Just now, before you, the question was asked about what to do. And you can imagine, I immediately said, you do it. I did not give a solution. So the questioner might feel, Madam did not give me a solution. She said I should explore. I only told the story of Singapore and I said, you explore yourself. So like that, if we give the onus to the student, much of the online classes participation will be more. But please remember, online at present, as the only option, is not possible. Online should be combined with others. When the situation normalizes, we will go back to our traditional method. but we will use the online also in addition to our traditional method so that we keep in touch with this. God forbid, if something else happens again and we have to go on saying online, online, and so on. Therefore, we have to think that we should be proficient in online, we should be proficient in traditional method. Try to combine both and use it. I hope I have answered your question. Any others are there who would like to ask?
Any more
Okay,
questions?
no questions. Okay, thank you very much, and
Ma'am,
wish you all. Speak, Susan. Your turn.
no, ma'am. I just want to thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your kind patience at this moment. Like you have taken the complete charge, and before a day, even for the trial session, you are with us. Thank you so much for your response, ma'am. And the topic what you have covered, honestly, because this is a happening moment now. And I hope all the participants also learn few things. It is like motivational talk, and we learn many things, ma'am. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Namaste
ma'am.
to all of you, and
Yes,
bye.
ma'am. Okay. Now, the question, this is for the participants actually. You will receive your certificates by the end of the month. Okay. So by the end of the month, like it's by the end June 30th, you'll all will receive your certificates. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What about feedback form, ma'am?
Feedback form. Yes, sir. Like mostly you'll be receiving feedback form by today. Okay, so
Will
like
that be a e-certificate?
sorry, ma'am.
It will be an e-certificate along with the feedback form.
No, madam. Actually, we are just working on it because we have a series of webinars actually every day. So,
Okay.
and the certificates we can issue, like there is a limit of issuing the certificates, maybe around 100 a day. So,
Okay.
certificates definitely. You will all receive your participation certificates at the end of the month by June 30, and there is no feedback form.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. It was a
Okay.
wonderful lesson.
Okay, but it's
Yeah.
too late to receive the certificates, no, madam.
No, sir. Like that's the hopefully you will be receiving, sir. It's like a final what we have kept is June 30th, but before that
Okay.
you will receive, sir.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, what is the criteria you are using, ma'am?
Criteria for what, sir?
Giving the certificates. Just only the
Uh,
attendance from this team viewer, ma'am, or else any feedback link?
no, sir. There is no feedback link, sir. Like if you attend the session for 30 minutes, that
Okay,
is
ma'am.
what we are taking the criteria, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Now, shall we leave the
Yes,
meeting?
sir. Yes, sir. You can leave, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Hello.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for everyone.
వీళ్ళు మేడము ఇంకెవరు కావాలంటే మీకు అనుకూలంగా అడ్జస్ట్ చేసే వ్యక్తులు ఎట్లా అడ్జస్ట్ చేయాలనేది ఎట్లా చేసి సార్ మీరు ఓపెన్గా చెప్పండి సార్
చెప్పండి సార్ నేనేంటి అడ్జస్ట్మెంట్ మనకు బిల్స్ వస్తాయి కదా మన సాలరీ బిల్స్ వాళ్ళే చేస్తారు.
అవును,
బడ్జెట్ బిల్లు వాళ్ళే.
ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి ఎట్లా పేమెంట్
నేను వాళ్ళకి ఏం చెప్పిన అంటే నాకు సరే మీరు పోయినాక నాకు అడిగింది సార్ మా పేమెంట్ ఎట్లా అంటే ఇంతకుముందు ఎట్లా ఇచ్చిన అన్న సార్ బడ్జెట్ లోకి వెళ్ళి అడ్జస్ట్ చేసాను అన్నారు. అది ఇప్పుడు అట్లా చేయండి అన్న అదే చెప్పినమాట. అంతేగాని ఆహా లేదు 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 సార్, ఈ మాట నేను ఆల్రెడీ 2-3 సార్లు చెప్పాను. ఎట్లా ఇచ్చిన ఇట్లా ఇచ్చాను. మొత్తం బిల్స్ వాళ్ళు తయారు చేస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి అంతే మరి. ఇట్లా సార్ ఇప్పుడు సిస్టమ్ నడవాలంటే కొన్ని మనం మీకు తెలిసి డీలే చేయబట్టు అట్లా కాదు. అదే మరి నేనేం చేసిన సార్
పెట్టుకోవాలి ఎన్ఎస్ఎస్ పెట్టాలి ఉంటాయి కదా సార్. మనం 15 లక్షలు పెంచాలనుకుంటే తీసి వాళ్ళకి ఇవ్వాలి. ఇట్లా చేసి ఇట్లా చేసినట్టు ఆమెకు ఎవరైనా పరిస్థితి ఇప్పుడు ఆమె కూర్చొని చెప్పి ఈ పద్ధతిని అన్ని రికార్డు నిర్వహించుకొని మేడం అనుకున్నాను పని చేయి. లేదంటే మేడం లేదు, మేడం మేడం పని చేసి రికార్డు అన్ని లిస్ట్ తయారు చేయబట్టి మీరు సంతకం పెడితే కావాలండి నేను కూడా పెడతాను. ఎందుకంటే నాకు అబ్బాయి ఇదేం లేదు కదా, ఉన్న రికార్డు చూసి కాపుతున్నాను కాబట్టి అవన్నీ ఆయన ఎవరు చేస్తే ఎవరు అది ఒక్క రోజు పని సార్. ఇప్పుడు టీచర్ కూడా నా దగ్గర టీచర్ సెట్ ఇచ్చేసి అది టీచర్ నేను వచ్చాను. అది పని ఏమి లేదు నాకు ఉన్నాయి కాబట్టి ఎగ్జామినేషన్ చూపెట్టినది ఇలా చెత్త చెత్త ఆయన ఎవరు చేసుకుంటే ఎట్లా నా పని చేసుకోవచ్చు సంతోషకి ఏదైతే సంతోషం ప్రజలు అంటే సంతోషం తీసుకోపోతుంది అంతకన్నా లక్షలు పెట్టి అవసరం ఎవరు వస్తున్నాయి ఎవరు వస్తున్నాయి రికార్డు అయ్యాను ఒక వ్యక్తి ఏం చేయాల్సింది సైన్ ప్రజలు సంతోషం తీసుకోపోతుంది. మొత్తం తీసేసుకోండి అన్ని మేమైతే అప్ప చెప్పండి లేదంటే ఇప్పుడు ఈ సమస్య వేళ ఆయన రిటైర్డ్ ఎస్ఐ సార్ ఎక్కడెక్కడ పోయే కెపాసిటీ అయినా వాడకట్టు నడుస్తేనే మేము ఆయన ఎట్లా కింద మన పక్కకి ఆయన దారిస్తాం పెద్ద మనిషి రాదు అంత వాళ్ళది డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఐటమ్ అవును సార్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ అందరూ చెప్తారు
చెప్తున్నాను మీరు అంటున్నారు అంటే ఎవరైతే ఏమున్నది దొంగతనం చేసుకోవడానికి భయం ఉంటుంది అందరికీ భయం ఉండనే రూల్ ఉన్నది అదే తప్పు చేసినోడికి భయం ఉంటుంది మనకెందుకు భయం ఉంటుంది నేను ఆల్రెడీ 1 నెల క్రితమే సునీల్ తో ఒకసారి మాట్లాడడానికి ఫోన్ ఇచ్చాను ఒక నిమిషం మాట్లాడండి మేడం ఒక నిమిషం మాట్లాడండి నాకు ఆయన అవసరం లేదు నాకు అంటే ఆయన ఎవరు నాకు అట్లా అన్నప్పుడు ఇక ఇట్లా ఉంటుంది సమస్యను పరిష్కరించాలని చూస్తామా ఇంకా ఎక్కువ కావాలని చూస్తామా
క్లాస్ తీసుకోవాలి రాసుకున్నాను
ఇష్టం వచ్చినప్పుడు వాళ్ళు ఫోన్ చేస్తాడు
ఇప్పుడు కేసు వచ్చిందనుకో అప్లికేషన్ పెట్టి అన్ని డాటా తీయాల్సిన
మొత్తం కట్టగట్ట ఎక్కడ ఇల్లు ఆ సెక్షన్ కరెక్ట్ రెగ్యులర్ పని చేసుకోవడానికి కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవుతుంది అదే ఇయ్యాలి అదే అది పాతదా వాస్తవమే ఇవి కొత్తగా ఏమైనా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ వచ్చినా కూడా ఇస్తారు ఇక్కడ ఈ 3 సంవత్సరాలు కానిస్టేబుల్ అప్పట్లో అదే మరి అప్పుడేమి ఓడిపోతుంది. ఇక మనం చూసుకుంటా కూర్చుంటే కుదరది. నేను ఒకటే చెప్పినా సార్, ఇప్పుడు మాకు నేను ఉన్నంత వరకు సార్ ఎట్లా నడిపించాడో అదే విధంగా నడిపినా నేను చెప్పేసిన. ఇక మీరు మా బడ్జెట్ నుండి ఎట్లా చూపెడతారో ఏం పెడతారో నాకు సంబంధం లేదు, సిస్టమ్ నడాలా అంతే. ఇక నేను ప్రతిదానికి ఇది ఏంటిది అది ఏంటిది అంటే ఇక మనం ఆఫీస్ వాళ్ళతో ఎక్కడ పెట్టుకుంటాం సార్? ఏదో అందులో ఒకటి మీరు పెడితే మనం అందులోనే ఇరుక్కుని ఉండబడుతుంది. ఎందుకు ఇక చేపలు పట్టు నాకెందుకు అన్నట్టు ఏదో మిగిలితే తీసుకుంటాం. ఏం చేస్తాం మరి? మన సిస్టమ్ నడాలి అంతే, డిస్టర్బింగ్ కావద్దు. స్మూత్ గా నడిచింది, అది చేసుకున్నారు. ఏముంది? ఇక మనం ప్రతిదానికి గెలుపుకుంటాం. ఇదేమో చిన్నదా సార్? చేసి ఒకటి వేసుకుంటుంది. ఇదేమో సిస్టమ్ చిన్న సిస్టమా? మరి కంపల్సరీ సార్ ఈ సిస్టమ్ లో నాన్ టీచింగ్ స్టాఫ్ కంపల్సరీగా వాడుతుంది. ఎట్టైనప్పుడు ఇక అనుకూలంగా ఉన్న వాళ్ళతో పెట్టుకోవాలి. ఇక మస్తు వస్తుంటాయి. ఇక ఒకటి కాదు, ఇక అది ఒకటి ఉండదు. ఇక ఒకటి ఉండదు, ఇంకా రెండు తారైతే ఏమ్మాయి అట్లానా? అంటున్నది కదా ఇక్కడ అంటున్నది కదా.
ఇవ్వకపోతే ఇవ్వకపోతే రిపోర్ట్ పంపలేదు, ఇవ్వకపోతే మనం అన్ని
ఇదేమన్నా పోలీస్ స్టేషన్ లేకపోతే ఇదేంటి కదా సార్? కాలేజ్ అయ్యి సార్ ఏదైనా ఎవరైతే మనకు అనుకూలంగా ఉంటారో వాళ్ళతో పని చేపించుకుంటూ వెళ్ళిపోతుంటారు. కానీ ఎన్నోడి గురించి గెలుపుకుంటాం ఇంకా సమాచారం చూపిస్తారు.
అప్పటి వరకు 10 నిమిషాలు నేను అన్నట్టు నాన్న ఎంతవరకు కరెక్ట్, మీరు అనేది ఇంతవరకు కరెక్ట్. ఇద్దరు దాన్ని ఇదైంది అనుకోండి సమస్య. మనిషి అన్నప్పుడు నా ఐడియాలు వేరుంటాయి, నీ ఐడియాలు వేరుంటాయి, ఇంట్లో ఐడియాలు వేరు. ఇప్పుడు నేను ఫోన్ ఇస్తే నువ్వే మాట్లాడంటే అదే మరి ఆ మాట మీరు చెప్పండి. మీరు ఇస్తాంటే తీసుకుంటున్నారు.
నిన్న కూడా నేను 400 వరకు ఇక్కడ
ఇప్పుడు మీరు అప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు నేను అప్పుడు
ఒకదానికి సెటరేట్ ఓనర్లకి చెప్తే అది సెటరేట్ అయితే ఓకే. ఇక్కడ ఈ సిచ్యువేషన్ అట్లా ఉన్నది. అడ్డంటే వినిపించిన పాపం రాబోయే 5 నిమిషాలు వేరుల ముంగట మనం డిబేట్ చేసి ఎందుకు మనది ఇప్పుడు ఆమె 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 ఎట్లా మాట్లాడుతున్నది, మనది మనం ఎందుకు ఇప్పుడు అన్నీ సపరేట్ ఉన్నాయి. డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఇన్ఛార్జ్ లేదు మన ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సాహిత్య లేదా వాళ్ళే తీసుకున్నాం బికాస్ ఎకనామిక్స్ సప్నా మేడం